Welcome to Twin Talk. This is Joy, and I'm here with my sister Angie. And tonight we will be recording on our phones. I'm at my home, and Angie's at her house, and we are just trying this recording app on my phone, so hopefully it works. Angie, how are you doing? I'm doing great. Well, today we are talking about a book that I listened to on Audible, and Angie has not listened to the book, so I'm just going to fill her in, and I'm also going to fill our listeners in on just my opinion about the book. I listened to the book Elle, Life Lessons and Learning to Trust Yourself. It was written by Elle McPherson. It was published in November of 2024. The book is 384 pages and the audiobook is 12 hours and 54 minutes. I do like the fact that it was narrated by Elle McPherson because she is from Australia and she does have that really cool Australian accent, so that was a positive. So I'm going to read the summary and then I'm going to ask Angie when she hears Elle McPherson what else she knows about her. Or Angie, do you want to read the summary?
I can. Yeah.
Okay, go for it.
Okay, Life Lessons and Learning to Trust Yourself by supermodel Elle McPherson is a personal and insightful book where Elle reflects on her life, career, and the wisdom she has gained along the way. The book blends memoir with self-help advice, focusing on Elle's journey to self-discovery and empowerment. In it, she discusses her experiences from her rise to fame as a supermodel to becoming a successful entrepreneur, offering life lessons she's learned about self-trust, confidence, and resilience. Elle explores topics like personal growth, how to navigate challenges, and the importance of trusting your intuition and making decisions that align with your true self.
All right. What all do you know about Elle McPherson?
You know what I know about Elle McPherson? I know that she was a supermodel.
All right. Well, I like the book okay. I'm going to tell you some things I thought were positive about the book and some things that were negative, I thought. So if you are into memoirs, I would suggest reading the book because it's always interesting, especially to read about someone who is this famous. You know, she's the only model to be on Sports Illustrated 7 times on the cover. She's an entrepreneur. She has launched several businesses and she's very successful. So it is interesting to learn how she just came from this kind of below, I think they were lower middle class, and she just went through a lot of turmoil in her life and just how she overcome the turmoil. It gives the stories of how she got into modeling and what it was like when she first started modeling. And to me, all of that's interesting. And I do like the fact that, because she is Australian, she says this several times through the book that she always had a can-do attitude, like she always has a positive attitude and a work hard attitude. And it never sounded like she was feeling sorry for herself. So I like that. I also like the fact that she doesn't sound vain in the book. She said I know, which is hard to believe when there's a supermodel seems very humble and not very vain. But she said in Australia, it's more common to find beauty in nature, more so than people. And that she found it strange that the whole modeling world, how people just always talked about beauty when it came to people. So I thought that was interesting.
That is interesting because in America, it seems like people are so obsessed with beautiful women,
Right. Well, she actually started out very awkward and insecure about her looks and how she moved, and she had to work hard to learn how to be a model and how to be natural in front of the camera. It did not come easily for her, but I do admire her because she has worked hard and she has earned everything that she has. One particular story that really stood out to me and made me admire her was she was diagnosed with breast cancer, and it was right in the middle of going through a divorce, I believe, from her first husband. And she made a controversial decision to not have chemotherapy.
Okay.
And she decided to go with a holistic approach, and she went to this clinic in Phoenix. And I mean, she had a whole team. They had nutritionists, she had a chiropractor, she had mental health. I mean, you name it, she had people, but she had to do the work, and I believe it was lots and lots of juices and exercises and just, I mean, it sounds to me like she almost went through hell and back. I can't remember how many weeks she went through this regimen. Everything she said, I was like, I don't think I could do that. I don't think I could do that. It sounded so tough. But when she came out of that clinic and she was scanned again, she was cancer free.
I'm just curious, did she ever say like what stage she was at?
You know, I think she did, but I can't remember now what stage it was, but it was serious. I know that. And then the negatives. So here's the main thing that I don't like about the book. I would say the overarching theme of the book, is do what's right for you, listen to your inner self, follow your heart. And as Christians,
that's pretty much mainstream advice today.
Well, and that's true. It's not just her. You hear it everywhere. You hear it's just kind of generally accepted to be good advice. But if you're a Christian, you know that is horrible advice, right? And I'm going to go ahead and put down here that there are so many verses in the Bible that talks about don't follow your heart, don't follow your feelings. That's dangerous. And one of them I found was Jeremiah 7, verses 5 to 7 and 8. Would you be okay with reading that?
Yeah. Okay. It says, this is what the Lord says. Cursed is the one who trusts in man, who draws strength from mere flesh, and whose heart turns away from the Lord. But blessed is the one who trusts in the Lord, whose confidence is in him. They will be like a tree planted by the water that sends out its roots by the stream. It does not fear when he comes. Its leaves are always green. It has no worries in a year. The heart is deceitful above all things and beyond cure. And that's what I was thinking of when you said that her advice is do what is right for you. Well, all of our hearts are deceitful. We're all born that way. And if we want to do what's right for us, most of the time, what we feel is right for us, that's not always the best guide.
Right. Feelings are fleeting. They're temporary. You have to put your trust in things that are permanent and rock solid. We cannot go by how we feel in the moment to make decisions or our inner self. We're always going to desire what we think is best for ourselves, but that doesn't necessarily align with what God knows is best for us. So that's what scares me about this book is over and over. I mean, it's a constant theme throughout the book is trust your heart, do what your heart says, be your best self. And we know that just leads to disaster many times.
But you wouldn't even be bringing this up. It's just the fact that that's just such a huge theme throughout the book.
Yes, it is such a strong theme. You see it over and over throughout the book. So it's scary to me that if people aren't familiar with God's word or maybe just don't have anywhere, they're actually looking to her for advice. Like one of the headlines I read while I was doing research on this book was how Elle McPherson's book can help change your life. And I'm thinking, for the worse, but it says how it can change your life for the better. So I just warn people, if you want to know her backstory and like I said, she is inspiring because she's a hard worker and she's earned everything she has and how the story of how she overcame cancer, that is all super inspirational and I admire her for that. And she also talks about her marriages and her divorces, which were, it's hard to share personal failures, right, and personal information. But I would just caution people to not buy into any of the advice she gives when it comes to spiritual matters or matters of the heart, because it is bad advice.
Okay.
I guess I made that clear. So since you didn't read it, I'm going to give you my rating. I give it 2 L's. Okay. And the reason I gave it 2 is just because I did enjoy reading about the stories she had about famous people and what it was like living in New York as a model and just her rise to the top. And like I said, her story of overcoming cancer. So this is probably going to be a pretty short to the point podcast, but did you have any questions or anything you wanted to add?
No, just, it just seems like we're kind of on these memoirs lately. We've done a lot of them. And as a matter of fact, I just read a book. It wasn't a memoir, but it was a book about River Phoenix that we're probably going to do next. And the whole reason I read these type of books is because to me, it is so interesting. It's kind of crazy. It's such a small world. A lot of these famous people, all their lives intertwined in some way. Mm-hmm. And it's just amazing to me how much I learn about other famous people by reading books about famous people,
Yeah, that is true.
It's kind of interesting to read about their lives and hear how they live. But it's also kind of depressing because most of them I have found, they kind of live a lonely existence, it almost feels. like that. I don't see any hope or faith in a lot of their lives, and it's kind of depressing. Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks for sharing that with me. No, I don't think I'll be reading this one.
Right. Well, like I said, I hate to discourage people because there are some good stories in there, but you just have to be aware of the message.
Yeah, that's. I'm saying if you're trying to convince me not to read it, you did a good job.
Okay. Well, so I guess we're gonna do. Is it called The Viper Room?
Yeah, we'll do that one next.
Okay, I will start reading that one. I look forward to reading it because I've always wanted to hear the full story of what happened to River Phoenix, and I look forward to reading that one.
I'll just warn you right now, it's depressing. I mean,
well, I'm sure knowing how he ended up, how he died, and that it was a drug overdose in the Viper Room. I guess most people know that. I didn't think it was going to be too awful upbeat.
Yeah, right.
Okay. Well, I guess we're going to wrap this one up. Thank you to our listeners for joining us, and we'll see you next time on
Twin Talk.